All right, you're live on YouTube.
All right. What's up, what's up, what's up? Fist Up Fridays. Killer Streets in the building, man. Got my special guest, like I told y'all, came through, was voted one of the best new radio personalities in San Antonio. And Mr. Charlie Castleman is in the building with me.
Thank you, Streets, for having me. Good to see you again. It's been about, I think, graduation, actually.
Exactly. About 20 years.
But I've been following you on Facebook and
Okay.
Instagram and Twitter and everything, you know, and interwebs.
Already.
And I know that you have quite a career
Yes, sir.
in rapping in
Yes,
San
sir.
Antonio, but
Yes, sir.
also talking.
That's right, man. And that's why we here today.
That's right. That's
We're here
right.
today because of the talking. So, my boy Charlie hit me up. He seen me doing the live, and he was like, man, he would like to come in and we sit down and we talk and we discuss situation. I always like to see that. I like to say that involve our community, and he want to talk about situations that involve everybody. And that's what I mean by our community. You know, and I didn't want to get that misunderstood. I meant our community, like all of us are in it at one. You know, as one. And so, without further ado, we're gonna have these subjects, and let me shout out my sponsors, Tank Pizza on New Braunfels. Shout out to Tank. Shout out to Miss Poe. Got me this hat, man. Ape Life Clothing. Shout out to Detail Did It Podcast. Shout out to South Crown Barbershop, and definitely shout out to Mr. Castleman for being here today. And so we have 3 subjects.
Can I do one shout out?
Go ahead, you shout out whoever you want to shout
Well,
out.
I want to shout out to all of our sisters, our mothers, our wives, our girlfriends, our grandmas, our aunts, our cousins, all the ladies out there, because it's International Women's Day throughout the world. And I don't know about you, but for me, my grandmothers were instrumental in my life.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people out there, without the women in our lives,
True.
a lot of things can't happen, and you know, we wouldn't be the men that we are today without them. So I want to give a shout out to them.
Man, Charlie, man, you making this real interesting, man. You went deep on the board, man. Yeah. But you know what? I'm just to be the antagonist, dog.
Okay.
I thought Mother's Day was National Women's Day.
Well, that's too.
God,
It is too.
yeah,
It is
like,
too.
How do I get caught up in 2 Mother's Days? I was like, where did this come from? You know, Mother's Day, I thought was for all women, you know? Breast cancer awareness, I thought that was for all women, you know, they whole month.
Well,
but
sort of
definitely, bro. Like, yeah. Shout out to all of the mothers on National Mother's Day. And so you get, National Women's
International
Day.
Women's Day.
International Women's Day. So you get 2 Mother's Days now. You know, it's all good. Let me give a round of applause to all the women and mothers out there. And so staying on with the subject, because we don't got a lot of time. We only got an hour. So with this
That's
hour,
it.
yeah. With this hour, we want to get into all of the little things that we want to talk about, which will be retribution, number 1 on the list. We got a viral video that went live about some kids in Alabama. And I want to talk about this mega hat video and this mega hat thing that's going on with Trump. And then I also want to let you get into talk about some of the things you want to talk about too. But first of all, without further ado, what do you think about retribution? Because I've talked to a lot of people in this shop, and we argue for hours.
Reparations.
Reparations. I'm sorry. There you go. See, you always gotta correct me, dog. I ain't politically correct.
That's right.
I'm not politically correct, man. You know, never claim to be. But I'm just saying, okay.
Well,
So,
it's
what do you
interesting.
think?
It's interesting that you bring up reparations, because there's
Yeah.
been several articles, like even today in the New York Times, about reparations. You know, in this country, we've had a very difficult time reconciling our past and the things that we've dealt with. Of course, you know, just like you and I went to school, they talked about slavery, the peculiar institution, what it was known as.
Sure.
A nation that was founded with the idea that all men were created equal, but all men were not equal at the time.
True.
There has been a serious economic um, imbalance between races.
Yeah.
There's been, through Black Crow laws in the South, for many years, there's been a lot of unfairness. And I have to tell a story from when I was a kid, on the playground, and there was a group of kids, and I had a friend, a person of color, who was called the N-word.
Okay.
And I could see, I was 8 years old, and I could see how injured, and I didn't really understand what that was, but I could see that he was injured by that.
So to give me a good scope on this, you were 8 years old.
8 years old, on the playground, Inez Foster Elementary, Calm Valley.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm from the South Side.
That's right. That's
Okay?
right.
Southeast side, South
That's
Cross.
right.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
But that kid, and you have to forgive me, I don't remember his name, and I was 8 years old, it was 33 years ago.
Exactly.
But I do remember the incident.
Yeah.
And I could see how it injured him, and it injured me. And so I got on those kids and I said, you know what, that's the wrong thing, you can't say that.
Yeah.
But that was my first encounter with racial injustice and racial imbalance.
Okay. Well, what I want to know is, so do you think? Let me get back on this. So do you think that it's taught? Why do you think that? Why do you think it's coming up so much now? Why do you think it's so relevant now? And why do you think that? Why do you think it's so hard for people to admit that it even exists? Why is that?
Well, we're a very self-centric culture. We look at it from the perspective as, well, I wasn't alive then, and I wasn't born, and I didn't live in the 60s through the civil rights movement. People are very far removed from it, so it doesn't necessarily affect them. And we are all in our own kind of worlds. So it's like I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, I thought back at school, and I said, I felt we had a pretty balanced school.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking, well, that's my perspective.
Exactly. Well, do you remember when we had all the skinheads and
I started thinking about it.
Exactly.
That I thought about it, because we live in a culture of self-centered awareness.
That's right.
That I didn't think, maybe some of the students that I went to school of that were African American didn't feel the same way I did.
True. And so, with you saying that, and we did go to the same high school, which was East Central High School, and I graduated in '95, and that's right. And so, we were going through racism. We had skinheads, we had Ambrose, we had Kings, we had Mexicans against blacks, blacks against Mexicans, and Mexicans and blacks against the kickers.
Right.
And the kickers, you know what I'm saying? It was the kickers. And then you had skinheads, people that actually wore the Nazi symbol on their shirts and shit at school, and nobody fucking said shit. You know what I'm saying?
And then you had me, the drama kids running around.
Exactly.
Hey,
dog, they're just like, ooh, we living a good life. What's going on, everybody? We equal.
Look at me, I'm on TV.
Yeah, but at the same time, I remember when we had a big riot with the skinheads, and it was
I remember that.
Exactly. You see, and Bernard Mitchell, I'm gonna have to got that name drop because there's some truth telling going on there. Bernard Mitchell, we were in the cafeteria, and it was like all the skinheads came from the other door of the cafeteria, coming through the cafeteria, and Bernard Mitchell, me, and a couple other brothers, black guys, we come through the other door, and so we met in the middle of the cafeteria, and Bernard just knocked the dude out, bam! And the fight commenced, and it was just like a big old riot.
I don't even remember that.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? It was incidences to where they fought. They also carried it on to the football games. Mm-hmm. It was a fight right after one of the football games, and I remember it. It was when I was a freshman, and Bernard was a sophomore at the time. Right. And so I remember that vividly. And I was like, dog, we wasn't so far past the civil rights movement at that time. I was born in '77, and so I read in a book that the last lynching was in 1971, and I was like, damn. Like
6
public,
years before you
public
were born.
lynching,
Before
not
you were
just a
born.
lynching, like, cause you gotta think about down there in Jasper where the dude,
Right.
that's what we were
Got
in
dragged,
school,
right,
got dragged
right,
and got,
right,
you know,
yeah.
that was in Jasper, so that's more recent. But I'm saying a public lynching, a public where everybody was there enjoying it, all the business owners, the mayor, you know,
Sure.
everybody come out to look at this lynching, right? And that was in 1971, bro. And I'm like, damn. Like,
Not
I
very
didn't
far
know that.
removed from us.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that integration had just happened, you know, 10 years prior. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
you're
I didn't
you're
know.
absolutely right. You know, my father, you know, I asked my father about what he remembered from being a kid in San Antonio, and he did remember, you know, a non-integrated San Antonio. Water fountains for colored people,
right.
white water fountains. It happened here. Texas and San Antonio was one of the most racist places in
Yeah,
the
world,
state,
in the South,
you
yeah.
know, the South for sure. So,
Yeah.
but getting back to your question about reparations, I think from less, you know, a lot of people, there's a lot of controversy about it. You know, people about whether there should be wealth redistributed here. What I think has happened is there's a real problem, and I'm really happy that we're starting to make strides towards criminal justice reform.
True.
One of the biggest issues that has occurred is that men of color have been incarcerated at a rate that is just ridiculous. It's like 18 to 1
Damn right.
compared to other races when it especially for drug offenses.
True.
And one of the
I was
things,
one of those guys. Just
Absolutely.
go ahead and keep it real on
That's right.
Fist Up Friday.
But-
I got caught up in mass incarceration in 1999.
Especially when we was black folks, only 13% of the nation.
Exactly. No, absolutely. And that's the area which has really impacted the youth of this country, especially youth of color.
True, and you brought up a great point. See, because what people don't understand, this is what I'm saying. What people don't understand about mass incarceration, they like, dog, y'all was selling drugs. Like, I'm like, hold up. They put the drugs here. Like, we don't have no jobs in this community, right? So you don't have no jobs, no economic stability in this community, but then you give me $1 billion a year commodity, you put drugs in my community.
I mean, make lots of money.
And you say, here, this is a way y'all can make money. Well, everybody that's there, that's poor, that don't have nothing, they gonna gravitate to that. They gonna be like, I'm in it. Is this the way we gonna get bread? Because we haven't been getting bread, we haven't been getting money. Every time we figure out a way that we can get money, they figure out a law against it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's been happening and happening and happening. And I'm wondering, like, when will it end? And I got, like I said, I got caught up in mass incarceration. Like, when I went to prison, when I got my case in 1999, I'm not saying I wasn't a drug dealer. I was. Period. I'm not, hey man, I do my time, right? But at that second, I hadn't had no drugs in a week, right? Like, it was a drop. So when they came in and they kicked in the door and they didn't find nothing, they didn't have nothing on us, they came out with some drugs from I don't know where. I've never seen that in my life. And I got 6 years in federal prison for it. And I was like, dog, I've never had a criminal case. I've never been in jail. I never, at that time, this is 1999,
Sure.
I've been graduated 4 years. So I've never been in trouble with the law, you know, besides little regular
misdemeanors
shit,
and stuff, right?
misdemeanors, you know, getting harassed and shit, but never had to go to jail or nothing like that. And they gave me 6 years, my first
Exactly.
offense,
The
bro.
first offense, 6 years. When
6.7
someone else,
grand.
possibly another color, would have got less.
Bro, would have got
And-
probation.
Yeah, probation, right. And
Would've got
so
probation.
when we talk about reparations, that imbalance is what I'm talking about. I
True.
think we need to look at the scales and make sure that it's equally balanced and there's an equal playing field.
True.
But also too, once you remove those men of color out of the community, the young bloods, you know, the
Yeah.
young kids
Yeah.
are the ones that are suffering because they don't have those strong male role models. They
Damn,
don't
Charlie
have-
Castleman, you
It's the
knowledgeable,
truth.
brother. You on that? You know what's
But
going
it's- but
on,
it's the
dog. You
truth.
knowledgeable,
So
dog.
as a young
It
kid,
is.
and women are strong.
Spitting facts,
but
dog.
right, but our mothers and our grandmothers do the best job that they can.
True.
But it's a difficult job to do it alone.
True.
And without that male role model, it's very difficult.
True.
But, you know, we have classmates that overcame that.
True.
And I'm
lot
going to give
of
her a
us.
shout out.
Okay.
Asia Bonsu, you remember
Oh, yeah,
Asia?
yeah.
Well, Asia lived in a single parent home, and she became she has an amazing career, but she was able to overcome a lot of obstacles
True.
in her life.
True.
And I don't think she'd be offended by me mentioning this, but she worked for the Department of State. She's been to the White House, had meal. I mean, it makes me proud that
Yeah.
you know she was able to overcome those institutional hurdles to become greater than where she came from.
And why you say that? Now let me tell you. After my case, I got out free, started a record label, great record label. After I stopped doing music, I applied for the city. I've been working for the city for over 8 years, right? I work with the state of Texas, right? Process server. I got a job with the state of Texas, so now I work with the city and the state, right? I'm finna open up a restaurant right by the AT&T Center called Ball Hawk. Now I know we can overcome. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'm not saying we can't overcome.
Right.
But I'm saying, I had to go through a whole
bunch of crap
shit
to
that
get there.
other people
Right.
don't have to go through, and I shouldn't have had to go through, right?
Right.
But in the situation in which I was born in detail said I had a choice. This is another topic in this.
I kind of
barbershop.
agree with detail, but
Yeah. I know, but I don't agree with that shit because I didn't know nothing else. Well, nobody taught me nothing else, bro.
Well,
How am I supposed to know what
there-
other choices I have?
There's a real argument is whether it's nurture or environment that creates this.
Yeah.
And you know, I totally get it. You know, I will never understand what it is to be a person of color.
True.
I don't know. I'll never walk in your steps.
True.
But what I do know is I lived in a fairly poor neighborhood. We didn't have a lot of money. But what I had was around me was a support. I had my father. I had my grandparents. I had my aunts and uncles. But if I didn't have half of those people, and if they were in jail,
True.
I may have made the wrong decisions.
True.
So it's those institutional obstacles that need to be removed.
True.
Now, look, you commit a crime,
Do your time.
you got to do your time.
I agree with that.
Ultimately, there has to be some level of personal
I
responsibility.
agree with that totally.
But there is also, too, has to be a level of fairness
Exactly.
within the community.
Exactly.
But that's where this starts, though. This is where, and that's why I'm glad that we're here doing this, having this conversation, is because of exactly what it is. If we're not having conversations like this,
right.
our community will never change. The institutions, these politicians, and I don't care for Republicans, I don't care for Democrats, I don't care for independents.
Sure.
I care for people. I try to vote for the right person for the job.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, it's people like you and me that are going to make the changes in our community. It's not some politician in Washington
Sure.
that's promising to make change.
True.
It's just not going to happen. It's you and me sitting here doing this.
That's right.
That's what makes changes.
That's right. That's right, Charlie. And with you saying that, so how do you think that we will have to? And this is a question that just. How do you think we? Because I feel like the racial tension is so high.
Yeah.
It's so high right now. It's at an all-time. It's the highest it's ever been since I've been alive.
Yeah. I
Like
agree.
my dad and them said this ain't shit. Like my dad,
Right.
You know what I'm
And we
saying?
don't
He was
really
born-
know.
yeah,
We
he
don't
was
really
born
know.
in the 50s,
Yeah,
so
that's right.
you know he went through it all, man. So what he
Remember,
telling
like
me-
I said, it's a very self-centered culture of vanity. You know, we think from our own perspective and our own things. So yeah, absolutely. Our parents have a whole different perspective to what we have. So I mean, yeah, if think back at this,
Yeah.
look at people being hosed with water hoses and dogs let loose on them.
True.
So absolutely, we don't have that experience.
True.
You know, we have a different experience. We have this culture of ad hominem attacks, this viciousness that
right.
people attack each other personally. They don't have conversations.
Man, Charlie, I gotta say, man, you are very, very, very knowledgeable, and I would like to say you are very knowledgeable about what we going through in our community and the systematic, laws that have been put in place to put us in these situations.
Sure.
You see
sure.
what I'm saying?
And there was something you said on your last show, or 2 shows ago when I was watching, when I was like, you know what, I really want to go on Streets program, is you're 100% right that there are a lot of systems that are in place that are also put in place by people within that say they want the system to change, but they don't, because they want to retain power. And I'm not gonna name names, but there are several quote unquote civil rights leaders that have been seduced by power, money, fame. It's a powerful elixir to people, and once you get to that place, it's hard to let go of that.
Man, let me tell you this, Charlie. On that, you speaking that facts. So, all our black leaders, like I can say Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. I mean, you call these names out because these are the people that are on the forefront and that everybody around America knows, and they say they speak for black people and this and that. But like I said, it's people that I know in the community, and it starts at a lower level. It starts right here. Like, I think our vote do count. A lot of people don't think our vote count, right?
Absolutely.
I say our vote do count, but it counts at a certain level. We can change stuff right here in our community. We can change stuff right here in our city with our votes. We could say who is our district manager. We could say who is our mayor. I think it goes that far, like, you know.
Sure.
But
Absolutely.
then from that, like presidential and all that, because you got all this other stuff involved in that. But I'm saying we affect our immediate area.
Remember the famous saying, all politics is local. And if you think about it, most municipal elections, most elections that have to do with your board of trustees, your city council members, have extremely low turnout. Once I was asked to run for district council, city council, and once was asked to run for the district council of the Alma colleges. And I kept telling them, I said, I don't want to. And the reason why is because the turnout for these elections is so low that the people that are running are people that are already in power and that have a money base and have control.
But do you think that is more from gerrymandering? I mean, because you got
I
like
think
right
less on the
now.
local level.
Okay, but check this out. Right now on the east side, like I said, my restaurant is right there on Onslow in East Houston, right by the AT&T Center. So in District 2, that's District 2, we have seen in the last 5 years, I want to say 5 years, people of color transfer from that area to the northeast side. And you don't see no more of that. Like, you don't see no more people of color. You don't see no more blacks. You don't see no more, because it ain't no East Terrace. It ain't no Wheeler Courts. It ain't none of that no more. Like, they done rebuilt everything over there. They done opened up Fort Sam. So in my lifetime, in the last 5 years, I've seen gentrification with my own eyes.
Sure.
I've seen people jogging through the neighborhood, jogging through the east side. Not that it's a bad thing.
Right.
Not that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying I've seen it. And I see the people of power, like, if you stand up against oppression, right? If you stand up against, like you, like, we gonna need a lot of people like you. Like, we can't get nothing done without people like you. You know what I'm saying? I want to say that. But at the same time, we're being oppressed. Like, and a lot of people don't see that. Because if you're if you go to Atlanta, like, if anybody in here went to Atlanta, I lived in Atlanta for 3 years, right? So when I went to Atlanta, it was a culture shock.
Sure.
There was so many black people. It was like, I seen a black dude with the damn thing in the street, and he was fucking with the hammer gun or whatever, jackhammer. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I ain't never seen a black. I'm from San Antonio, dog. Mexicans got all them jobs. I'm just gonna be honest, dog. And that's not be a regular. Like, we fact spitting. So when I seen a black dude doing that, and I seen all the construction workers was black, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, where the hell have I gone to?
Right.
Like, I've never seen that in my life. And so then, as we stayed there, I understand kind of like what they say when people say white privilege. I understood when I was in Atlanta because it was like black privilege. Like we were starving artists. We were up there working at temp jobs. But every person we ran into would invite us over for a meal. You know, they invite the whole crew was 8 of us. So they invite us over for a meal. We sitting in their house, man, you got black doctors, black lawyers, black businessmen, black businesswomen at this table. Like I'm like, dog, you don't see that shit in San Antonio?
Well, and I think you hit on something there. I think what's important to remember is that we have a culture right now too, that we have this pop culture that tells people, look, oh, you just hit into live video.
Did I?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
It's okay. Start it up again. Fire it up.
Got my special guest, like I told y'all. So what I do?
Just hit, save, share, whatever, and then start it up alive again.
Keep your video on your story for 24 hours. Post that video. In the building with me. And I came back it up.
Streets for having me. Good to see you. Well, at least we sound good, right?
Yeah,
But we're still on YouTube right
man,
now.
I gotta go. All right, man, we live. I'm gonna go back live, man. I didn't hit the thing, but it's all good. We live again.
Cool,
Go
cool.
ahead, Charlie.
So what I think you hit on a point there is when you're talking about people of color being lawyers, doctors, and nurses, and all these professional type careers. Well, and that's the type of thing that needs to be the goal, the role. That's the role model. And we have a popular culture that is all about, ooh, I want to be on Facebook, and I want to be Jay-Z, and I want to be, famous. I want to be Lady Gaga. Why can't we instill in people that what's important is being an active member of your community, being that lawyer, being that teacher, being that reverend, being that person that makes the difference in your community and builds a strong community. You don't have to be, everybody doesn't have to be a rapper. Everybody doesn't have to be a singer. That's a career that you can do and you want to become, that's fine.
Okay.
But we have a culture right now that says that's the only way to succeed, and that's the only thing that you're able to do. And when we need people to be lawyers and doctors and mechanics,
True.
I mean,
we need mechanics, we need AC.
AC repair people, electricians.
We need people to drive trucks, right?
Right.
We need oil field workers, all of that. But see, what we're being fed, we're being force fed. See, in our culture, and this is why I like that we're having this dialect, because in our culture, man, when I turn on that TV and I'm looking at anything with people of color, and I want to watch something, if I turn it to BET or if I turn it to a black video and stuff, all they promote is rap and entertainment.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Every single person that you know of success, I'm talking about just off the top of your head, is either a rapper or an entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of black people that's businessmen, me personally, but I'm saying as a mass, as a whole, as what our kids get on a daily basis.
Right. They've force-fed that.
We're being,
right.
see, and what I say is, in our brain, we're being downloaded bullshit. And listen, with the rap shit, right? Because I was a rapper,
Right.
you know that. So, and the reason I quit rapping is because I seen how it affect people, and I seen how it can transform a regular kid into a fucking kid that I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying?
But
they
you
looking
just
up
made
to
your own
me.
point there. You made a perfect point. Think about it this way. Why were you selling drugs?
Because that's what I'm taught.
Why were you selling drugs?
Because they was in my community and I had
and
no
you
other.
made money too.
And I made money.
Instant, big time money.
I had no other
So
way of making bread,
what is
bro.
fame?
Huh?
What is fame?
A way of making money.
Making a lot of money.
True.
That's the quick dollar. It's not the last.
Hey, you can
the
get in
last
on it,
thing
baby.
that-
Hell, yeah, we
absolutely.
invite everybody in on it.
I'm sliding in because what you guys are talking about is the ongoing. It's not new. It's the ongoing trap.
Right.
Everybody talks about the trap. We get out from being locked up, and then it's like, oh, we can't get a job. We got a felony. They don't want to hire you, so now I got to go back to hustling dope and slanging this and doing that. But the real trap starts when we're born, watching BET,
That's right.
watching Jay-Z. Oh, that's the hustle. That's the way to come up.
That's
Oh my
right.
God, that's the way to do it. Because I've been there, done that too. I
True.
spit bars.
That's right.
I
That's
did my
right.
thing,
That's right.
and then got locked up. It's the same.
That's
That's the real
right.
trap. Media.
That is the
media
trap.
is
That's
the trap.
right.
It's not the trap. It's the media.
It's the media, and so what it is, they're teaching our culture, our people, to be a commodity. Like they don't want us nothing as a commodity. If you play basketball and you're in the NBA, you are a commodity.
You are a paid slave.
Yeah, that's right. If you're in the NFL, you're a commodity. If you are, and that's why boy Kanye West, he's suing his record label right now for indentured slavery, right? Because in his contract,
Same thing Prince did.
we could go exactly. We could go deeper into that contract thing, but what he's doing is he's saying that you can't charge me for my creativity.
Sure.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do this for my whole life, and that's what his contract is for life. You can't motherfucking have me. I'm creating this myself. You can't make money off of me for my whole life. Then that means I'm an indentured slave. And so that's what America is. They never agreed for us to be free. Every time it came up to where we were gonna be set free or we were gonna be treated equal, they come up with some kind of law.
It's
They
not
come
about
up
waking
with some
up
kind
or
of.
staying woke. It's about waking
It's
up.
about knowing your history. It's about knowing the facts. And the facts of the matter is, we are here to be a commodity. We came here as a commodity, and we continue to be a commodity, right? And so when I talk about Oklahoma City, when they burned up Black Wall Street, the reason they didn't burn up Black Wall Street because, you know, it was competing with their Wall Street. No, it was because black people were getting a financial stability, and they did not want. Dog, don't you know the military dropped bombs on Oklahoma City? In Tulsa, Oklahoma, they dropped bombs. The police department, the fire department did not help. They went out of town and watched it burn down, and they dropped bombs from the sky in military airplanes, U.S. military airplanes. So how do you fight that? You know what I'm saying? Like you say, pick yourself up from the bootstrap. Well, we were picking ourselves up from the bootstrap. And that was during integration, right? Like so black people was like in a better situation. And so when you hear people talk about, dog, we should probably separate, like with Malcolm X, right? When he was alive, bro, and he was talking about, you know what? We don't need that. We need to be like the Indians. Give us our own shit like the Indians and let us do our own thing, right? And that's why reparations are coming back up.
Sure.
Right? Because that's the only
but
way to
also
make
too,
it
Malcolm,
even.
But Malcolm did change towards the end of his life before he was
True.
assassinated.
True.
That he said, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't speak to be so divisive about
That's right.
separation.
True.
And here's the thing, and I know this is very cliche-ish, and you know, in an effort not to be a cliche is, but I think one of the problems is we focus too much on you're a person of color, I'm white, there's someone Mexican. I mean, it's very cliche-ish.
Charlie,
And
you
listen-
gotta understand.
but listen,
this. Okay,
but
I'm
listen.
Cliches are cliches for a reason.
That's right.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying is, but you know what? Politics, identity politics, is the most divisive thing in our entire
That's what
community.
Trump ran on.
Well, I agree. I'm not saying
Our president
I'm
right
not-
now
I'm not
currently
saying
ran
that
on
he's not.
identity
And
politics.
I'm not saying that he's not, and I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not here to espouse any type of political
Yeah, me
party
neither.
either.
But we gotta spit facts.
But it is a fact. But
That's
one
right.
thing is though, is we need to find ways to have conversations that aren't in those colors.
No,
Okay.
Like
listen,
take it
hold up.
outside of the
I gotta
box.
jump in. I'm sorry.
Sure.
We can't have no conversation until it starts with color. Because at the end of the day, that's what you see. That's what everything is predicated off of. Like, you, a person of your complexion, you got people in all branches and all walks of life and all tiers of society and business that you can get mentored from. You can go and link up with a CEO but people of color, we don't have people in positions of like that. I can't just go to a Fortune 500 company and holla at Tyrone because he's the CEO. No, he's not going to exist in most situations. So
Why though?
we have to identify color, not because we should, because that's where we're at. Like, it's color is the reason why Trump ran on color. Like, a man yesterday or this week got 8 police showed up to his house because he's in his house trying to just clean up his yard.
Yeah, I'm
And this man asked him, the police asked him, like, what are you doing here? It's like, I live here.
and they still harassed him.
Like, really? Like, this is a trash picker upper. It's not a weapon. You know what I mean? Like, we're dealing with that, and the only reason that happened because that brother is because of color.
Detail. Let me say something.
You know what I'm saying?
Now,
So like, we have to.
what if
and
it-
until we address that, and the only reason we haven't addressed the streets
Yeah.
is because America doesn't want to apologize and make amends for the greatest sin, like everyone else did,
So
like the Jews
so this
did,
is
like
the thing.
everybody else.
It's the thing. You went to school with me, right? No, we went to East Central, got the best education that we could get in a public school. We had a private school, independent school district, East Central. But they taught us that Christopher Columbus was a fucking hero.
For real.
They taught us that Davy Bowie,
Danny Crockett,
all the heroes at the Alamo
and Santa Anna
were
was
heroes.
Was the
But
enemy.
Santa Anna was really the fucking hero. So now, what I'm saying, I say that to say this. If the people who run everything run your books, they run all the institutions, they run every single thing, bro. They run everything. Like, it was built on oppression, it was built on slavery, it was built on mass murdering. From the moment that Christopher Columbus got here, and we don't have to go all the way through the history, but he murdered people. Like, as soon as he got here, the Indian was like, hey, check this shit out. We got corn tortillas and shit like that. Christopher Columbus was like, oh, okay, shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking, when I'm in 1977,
right.
when I'm born,
Right.
and I see cowboys and Indians, motherfucker, I want to be a cowboy. They shooting every motherfucking body, right?
Right.
But Indians was defending their fucking land, and they only had fucking sticks and stones.
Well, you're right.
And
It's
these
all about-
motherfuckers had weapons of mass destruction, and
Right.
they came through
Absolutely.
that motherfucker
And-
killing women, children, and men, and everybody they seen to take over
and
their
I
land.
can't argue with history.
And that's what we're built
we-
on, and that's what we're
Right,
fighting
no,
against
and I
right
agree
now.
with you. And,
We gotta
and
reverse
like I
that.
said earlier, I don't know if you heard what I said. I'll never understand because I can't be you and I can't walk in your steps.
True.
You know, I can only take it from my perspective. We all have our experiences
Right.
that shape and affect us. You know, but you're 100% right.
That's right.
The people who are the victors usually write the history books.
That's right.
And it's always that way.
True.
And, you know, that to the dawn of time. So, but what we need to do is rewrite that.
That's right.
And rewrite it not by, you know, pulling stuff down, by, you know, we pull those racist symbols down, but we remember that because if we can't remember what happened to us or where we were,
Yeah.
then you know what?
We're forced to repeat
We're
it.
going to repeat it, and then people will lose perspective. Then it will shift so far to an opposite side. And I think that's what's happening right now in our society is we're starting to try to come to terms with all these issues. And so
White folks are starting to realize that, like, I think white folks, and when I say white folks, I'm just talking about the crazies, all right?
Crazy.
That's 28%.
That's right.
Not everybody. But they're seeing the browning and blacking of this country. You know what I'm saying? They're seeing the shift. You know what I mean? And I think that there's a sense
afraid
of
of that.
fear, like thinking that if black or brown people get a step further, get a foothold, that's going to somehow take away from them. And that's not the case. If
We're only allowed
black
to
and
basketball.
brown people get equality, that makes it so much better for white people. Or for everyone for that
Everybody
matter.
for that,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like,
I'm too close
everyone
for
will
the
benefit from complete equality. You know what I'm saying? But we won't benefit when, you know, the haves get it and the have-nots stay without it. And they're not educated on purpose. Like, it's a complete breakdown, and it starts with slavery. You know what I'm saying? Like, slavery is still going right now. You know what I'm saying? It may not be a whipping and things of that nature, but we're still being lynched in the streets. Black men are still being shot for no reason, and people are walking from it. And on top of that, education systems are still pathetic in places like Louisiana and Mississippi, where governors or people running for office can make jokes like, you know, I'd still attend a public hanging. Like, why being
right, except
why is that even
right.
accepted?
No, I agree.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree
Like,
totally.
And so, like, we have to get equality. And it's not, and black folks and brown folks or people that are minority descent, we don't also have time for the other side or the other people, or let's just say white people, to get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's part of the problem. We waiting on somebody. Just like we was waiting on Master.
Well,
Like, we
that's
have
the
to
thing.
get it together, and white folks, the ones that are conscious like this brother right here,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? Spread the word. You know what I mean? Like, speak to your brothers. Have that conversation. Because people don't know that people don't know. Cultural conditioning goes on all sides. Like, we think the way we think because of cultural conditioning. So does the next brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, a white man might walk around society doesn't realize that he has white privilege.
Yeah.
He wakes up every day and sees Frank.
Yeah.
He wakes up every day like, I work my ass off just like you do, brother.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have, but at the end of the day, he's living a different experience than a black or brown person or a woman, and he doesn't understand that sometimes.
Let me tell you,
know what I'm
this fact
saying?
right quick.
And that's
right.
a fact.
Now, this is a fact. Diva Pager, she's a doctor out of Princeton University. She said this. And I quote, that a black man with a college education has less chance of getting a job than a white male that has been to prison in America.
It's facts.
You see what I'm saying? So now, this is
But
this,
listen,
this,
but who-
this is the
But,
thing.
but what do we do about
Charlie,
that?
you don't speak
Do we
for
have
all
to
white
let-
people. I'm just saying, like,
Is it on Charlie
you
to
have
fix
to
that?
fucking represent now you done got deep in the
I'm gonna
water.
take Charlie. This pressure ain't on Charlie. Because to me,
A
it
lot
ain't
of weight on
Charlie.
this. There's a big
Charlie
cross
ain't gotta
I
fix
gotta carry.
You gotta carry the
Listen.
cross, Charlie.
Kinfolk, Charlie
gotta
can't carry
explain
this
why
cross
all
just like
racism
Obama
is
couldn't carry
happening.
this cross.
That's
You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like,
That's
we
right.
can't wait on Charlie, and it's not Charlie's responsibility necessarily.
True.
Charlie's responsibility to do what he's doing is to teach the brother next to him.
That's right.
Whoever's in his sight, listen, this
Not
is the
to
truth.
teach hate.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't even about teaching hate. It's his actions. Right now, his actions say what he's about.
That's right.
He's a guy that I don't know this man from Adam. This is my first time meeting him. His spirit is real.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel his vibes. He's coming from a
Great
real
place.
place.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like,
I
it's
feel
just
it
up to
too.
him to continue to do what he's doing.
That's
Each
right.
one teach one. You can't change everybody overnight. And a person that's racist, you can't change that.
No.
It's on them.
That's
You
right.
know what I mean? But what we can do is change some shit. Some motherfuckers could be forced to, like, at
Well,
least
Okay, all right.
be
well,
in trouble for messed up, acts against others.
Okay. Well, what you're saying is, okay, we got systemic racism, right?
Bro,
We got institutional racism, right?
We have PTS.
We are mentally ill as a people. We are traumatized as a people.
Post-traumatic
That's why
slave syndrome.
post-traumatic stress, like
No,
you
slave
got,
syndrome.
You got slave syndrome. Okay, that's a
Yeah,
good one. I
shit,
ain't never
no,
heard of
man.
that.
PTSS.
Post-traumatic
PTSS,
bro.
There you go.
If a
So-
Marine can get post-traumatic stress from
That's
the
right.
war, what you think 400 years of oppression gonna do to a person?
It's gonna stress them out. Like, look, and they said, and another study said this, and they said that
I'm not drinking.
one person, a generation, a grandfather, if a grandfather was tortured, enslaved and oppressed, that it would pass through the genes of his children to his grandchildren. You know what I'm saying? And if it's a continued oppression and
But there's a psychology
Trauma.
to it. Yeah.
psychology, it will pass on from his kids and his children down to his grandchildren. And so we've been nothing but tortured, right? Through the whole time we've been in America. Until today, we continue to be tortured. We applaud people like you, dog, because we need you. We need people like you to change the narrative. Like, we got a lot of people that's in the, I hate to get back on politics, dog, but you gotta get on the politics because everything is so, right now at this point, is like the best time to be living in your life. Like, you know what I'm saying? We get to see actual change go down. We get to see actual change go down, bro. Like, I thought when Barack Obama was president, I was like, damn, we ain't gonna never see nothing better than this shit. We got a black president, right?
No, that was the beginning.
That was the beginning.
That
You know,
was
you
the
know.
beginning.
Listen, dog. You know, a lot of people. Look, I'm gonna tell you, I got a lot of haters, bro. I got a lot of haters from a lot of shit, right? But one thing I really got haters for, bro, is because when Trump was running for president, and you remember they had all that shit, and I was like, Trump, 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 right? And the reason, and look, I work with a lot of people from the community, like even my co-workers.
What's
dog.
wrong with you?
They were like, fuck yeah, you Uncle Tom, da da da. I was like, dog, y'all don't even understand why I'm rooting for Trump. Y'all so far behind, y'all don't even know why I'm rooting for Trump, because if Trump wins, Trump is gonna rip off that ugly scab that America's been trying to hide this wound with, right? Because Trump gonna be 100, Trump gonna be real, and Trump is gonna be Trump. He don't need no money from nobody. He don't need no friends. He don't need none of that shit. Trump gonna do what he wanna do. He gonna say what he wanna say, and he gonna show the world what America was built on. He said, I'm gonna make America great again, and he made America hate again. Right? And that's what it was. And that's why I said Trump, Trump, Trump. Because I want him to do that so we can be exposed to the
Right.
world. I want the world to see what we're going through.
And I think you're right. I think one of the things that I'm, personally, when it came to Trump's election,
Sure.
I actually laughed. I thought it was quite funny.
Yeah, you thought it wasn't gonna happen.
I didn't believe it was going to happen. But the other thing was too is I thought that one thing that would happen, I didn't expect as diverse as it's become. It's been pretty radical. I didn't expect the amount of just like every day it's like an explosion.
Yeah.
Every day. But the thing that I think it did do is to start people actually having conversations.
That's right. Reparations. That shit was never talked about.
I think the thing that's important about that is that if a Hillary Clinton or somebody like that had been elected, that it was just going to perpetuate.
That's right. It was going to
the
continue
system.
on.
But now I think people are really engaged,
That's
and
right.
they've kind of woken up
That's right.
out of a coma.
I say that all the time, man. I say, Trump is good and bad. He's a gift and a curse. You know what I mean? Like, for one, he's a phenomenon. This shit will never happen again.
Never.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But so was Obama.
But it was
You know what I'm
supposed to
saying?
happen because it's supposed to change
that's what I'm
America.
into. No, it's just a phenomenon. We're in a place right now in the universe, in the vibrations that are up, and it's time for a change. And right now, like this Trump stuff is definitely. You got people talking about politics that never otherwise would be interested.
Never
Care.
talked about
Even
politics.
if they're talking about it just because he's on Twitter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or just because he said the craziest thing, now you talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the wonderful thing about it because, yeah, he's crashing down the door. Yeah, he's shedding light on some of the bullshit that's going on in the White House. But he's also like creating change through things like this. Like, we're having this conversation right now. But you know what I mean? Like, it's creating dialogue, which is creating, people to
Change.
talk and create change, which
It's
creates
breaking
action.
down. We breaking down our own barriers.
Like, because of him, he's got us looking more into our history.
That's right.
Now, me and you are researching and sending each other videos and educating each other because we're like, we need to know who we are. We need to know who we fight, what we fight in the beginning. And if we don't, we're not gonna know where to go if we don't know what we did.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead, Charlie.
No, you're 100% right. It's about identifying where you're from, who you are. I have an interesting thing just to tell you. You kind of piqued my mind. I forgot to tell you this.
Okay.
You talk about the East Side. Traditionally, historically, African American community. Do you know what community it was before?
No.
It was German.
Polish.
No, it was German.
Oh, okay, German.
It's historically German immigrants who are on the East Side. My German immigrant family in the 1880s and 1890s, they were pushed into an enclave on the East Side. And then as time changed, African Americans were historically found in the area. But it's interesting to see how groups and how culture and situations change that we are put into these enclaves and have been traditionally since the beginning of this country is that groups of people have been grouped together. And kind of talking back also to, a couple of things that we were going to talk about. I know we kind of went off.
No, that's why I'm going to get right back on it after you speak.
The kids in the anti-Semitic video.
True.
I wanted to talk about
Okay,
that.
well, let's go ahead. We're gonna get right
I know
back
we're running
into
out of
that.
time.
Yeah, we're running out of time, man, and I ain't got my computer today.
I'd come back in a couple months.
But I shared the video with you, and anybody on here, y'all can go to my Facebook and y'all look down there. We're gonna talk right now. We're gonna speak on this viral video about these racist kids in Alabama. And so I watched this video, and so you have all of these kids on here, and they're talking about. I want to say anti-Semitic, right? And because they were saying like the Holocaust, we're glad of the Holocaust. We should lock all the niggers up, right? They said the words, and they were saying.
Set a system up that allows people to come in and come in fairly.
Okay. Well, I think that I'm
play
from
it?
Texas. Huh?
Let me play.
Advocating them.
Yeah.
Let me be
Yeah,
clear.
you can't speak for everybody.
I'm not gonna-
Well, you are the person who speak for all white people in America.
Today, today. King of the crackers today. But no, the thing is, and all jokes aside,
Yeah.
it's obviously an ignorant attitude to have.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kids are being taught by some ignorant parents, and you know what? We may not even know. Their parents may not even have espoused this.
Yep.
Kids are kids.
Yeah.
Obviously, a younger kid. I'm not making excuses for anybody.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff we have to stomp out right away.
Yeah.
Because if they're able to take that as they grow older, they're going to live with that for the rest of their lives.
And see?
And they're going to think it's okay.
And
And then it's very easy to move those. And it's very easy to move those people.
And well, Charlie, this is what I say. I got another stat for you.
Okay.
Right? USA Today took a poll. They said that 49% of Americans feel like Donald Trump is not a racist. 47% of the United States says Trump is a racist, right? 87% of this poll of Republicans, 86% of this poll said that Trump is not a racist. 86% of Democrats said Trump is a racist. So that's 50-50 pretty much, right?
So you ready? He's going to spin around and say, Charlie, what do you think?
So, as you speaking for all the white people in America, how do you explain these stats, brother? You know what? I think, but you see, I'm saying that.
He's gonna be like, well, we have to check the sources.
Yeah. Well, here, spin around. I'll give you my answer. You'll like this one.
All right, come on.
I'll get you ready.
I personally can't comment on it for this reason.
He sound like Trump.
I don't know Donald Trump as a person, but I will say this. By the things that he's said and he's done, I could see people led both ways.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty middle of the road answer, playing it
So,
safe answer.
Yeah, that's what I say. But
He's a racist.
I see, but you see how it was
But-
86 to 86.
Right. And
We don't have to know him as a person. Let's just judge a person
I'm saying-
by
that's what
by
I'm
their
saying. I'm
character.
agreeing with you. I'm saying that I could see how, based on his actions,
Yeah.
that be interpreted.
'Cause actions
But
speak
I
louder
can
than words.
also see people saying the other way around.
Yeah.
I like to look at things pragmatically. I like to try to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Come on, hold on, hold on. No,
But
If you call Africa a shithole country,
no, I think that was totally wrong.
you think that
I
was
think it's
racist or
totally-
racial?
I think that was
I know there's a
totally-
difference.
I think it was totally racist.
Okay. When you only want to put a wall on the south, in the south of the United States, where the brown people enter into the country, and you never discuss Canada? Never?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, and I thought you I was
You
trying to
speak
go
of a
push
white
that.
people,
Oh,
Johnny.
speaking of white people.
No, I'm just kidding. But I'm
No,
just saying.
I
now-
agree.
now
There
I know-
are things.
You
I
got lawsuits?
totally
No,
agree.
you gotta understand, and I say this too, man. You gotta understand. It's a lot of people that are forced. Like when you in a situation like me and you, I was in prison. You weren't in prison. You weren't in prison.
Been in jail though.
But even in jail, okay.
I have not been
You
to jail.
are forced to pick a side.
Peace, man.
You know what I'm saying? When the rubber meets the road, bro, you gotta pick a side. You gotta pick a side. And so when we're forced to pick a side, whether he's right or wrong, a lot of Caucasian people, whether Trump is right or wrong, they're gonna go on his side.
Sure.
Now, this 87% of people, this 49% of people in America say he's not a racist. So 49% of America is with Trump right now. 47% say he is a racist. So 49 say he's not, 47 say he is.
50-50. Once again, a very
So
divided nation.
now, what do you have? What do I tell my kids? My daughter, she goes to a private school, right? She got a lot of white friends, a lot of, I want to say this correctly, Arabs. I don't know how to say it correctly, but people of Indian descent.
People
Yeah.
of Middle Eastern.
Middle Eastern people,
Or
right?
some-
And who are her best friends. Like,
Yeah.
some of them are her best friends, dog. I get along with their parents and everything like that. But I don't understand is, how do I explain to my daughter what's going on in America? Like, with her president, and she see that. You know what I'm saying? She's 6 years old right now, and I'm like, Daddy can't explain that to you because I would have to go ahead and just say, man, they racist. You know, like it's a racist society we live in, and I'm growing up, and we growing up, and I'm.
Well, I mean, maybe that's what we have to do. You know, like we just said right here, instead of dancing around it, why don't we just say, America is a racist country, has been since its inception, and we have to change that.
Sure.
You know, a lot of people that know me, I don't espouse political views. You know, like I said, I'm a pretty pragmatic person. I like to listen to both sides. I play devil advocate. So I'm espousing this right now. Is maybe we say this, and then that's where the conversation goes. And maybe you do sit down with her and say, hey, this is the reality. This is the way it is.
Oh, I do.
And we got to change it.
I do.
And this is how we
and
start
I tell her,
changing.
don't look at her friends no different. Like, them are your friends. Like, you want friends. You want to
You have to
friends.
judge
you
people
don't want to
that
be.
you know.
We want to change the narrative. And this is the thing that I say about America and us. They're afraid, like Detail said earlier, they're afraid that we're going to do to them what they done to us. And that's not, and history shows we're not trying to do that. We just want to have a regular
But
life.
shit, the shit might have to come to that shit.
No, because listen,
I'm just
if
thinking
I have
about
power, if I got all the power, dog, if you Detail, you
Okay.
the boss of this shop, he could have an opinion, she could have an opinion, but they can't make change. They can quit, but they can't affect change. Nigga, change has to come from the top, right? Because you make the
It
laws.
can.
You make the laws.
Yes.
We have to abide by the laws you make. Now, if you say, I'm gonna make a law, if you a black guy sitting on a wooden bench, your ass going to jail. Like,
They
I
did
can't-
shit
I'm
like
going
that.
to jail.
Bro, they did
No,
shit
that's
like
what
that.
I'm saying. That's
That's
what I'm
black
saying. So someone, and if I had the power, I gotta look. I call myself
The
a
streets.
conservative liberal.
Streets.
I'm a conservative liberal, dog, because I feel conservative about something, liberal about something. But I feel like this, and I'm just gonna be honest. If I had the power, and I've been running shit for 400 years, it's gonna take blood for me to let it go. And I think that's where we're going.
Bro,
and I think that's what
All
agenda
changes in this
of
in
Trump-
this world have only came by blood.
That's right. And the country's built on blood. So I think that Trump, the agenda is to split us apart. I think he was
Quite
sitting
possible,
there by the powers that be, and they said, look here, Trump, you do what the fuck you want, say what the fuck you want. But these are the policies, and this is the thing that I'll be looking at. Like, a lot of people see all the stuff that's on the news and on social media and all of that. I'm looking at the amendments and the laws that he putting in that are not getting headlines. You know what I'm
No.
saying? Shit that ain't getting headlines. They ain't talking about
they
Russian
don't help
collusion.
us. They only
Look,
help the billionaires.
Look, it ain't talking about Russian collusion, and he signing shit that ain't got nothing to. Everybody's clouding art, and that's why I say it's a smoke screen. All this shit going on, but he's steady passing shit that people don't even know about.
Yeah.
Like, do you know
You
that
know-
in Venezuela, that's where World War III gonna start?
Could possibly do.
Right? No.
It could.
It is. You know, all of our so-called enemies, which was Russia at one time, China,
No, they still are enemies.
North
just not
Korea,
to
South
Trump.
Korea, right?
They have military
Not
agreements.
South Korea,
North.
Korea. So this is what I'm saying. They're allying with the old president in Venezuela. All of them. China, Russia, everybody. They said if America
Maduro.
if America does anything, we gonna attack. We gonna back him up. And so the new president that's coming in, America backed him up.
Right. Would not know.
And so America said, if y'all don't give us the power and let us take over the military and everything else, we're gonna have to do action.
What's your take on that?
Mine? So we're gone.
No,
we're still
we're
here.
here.
We're still here.
Yeah,
We're
we
still
ain't
here.
gone.
Yeah.
You go
So-
ahead. We want to get it.
So I think you're right. I think 100% the Russians and Chinese do have a presence in Venezuela. Do I think it's going to be the spark for World War III? I hope not. I hope that we can get through that, because if there was a World War III, all this conversation is kind of
for nothing.
It's been for nothing,
Exactly.
because we're one of the major targets because we have military
San
installations
Antonio.
here. We would be pretty much instantly vaporized. So we would be,
Yeah.
some burnt glass. So that at least we'd be together, right?
Yeah.
But
At least we can have some type
but we'd
of
be
unity.
melted together, So, but I think you hit on a deeper thing.
Okay.
There is a smoke screen and it's by both political parties, both the
True.
Democratic Party and the Republican Party.
True.
And we're almost living in a police state. And this is probably the first time and only time you'll ever hear me talk about politics,
Okay.
because I very rarely do it.
Me too. Like every day.
Is that we have a government that is controlled by money and power,
Yep.
and that they are eroding the rights of not just African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, also Caucasian Americans. It doesn't matter who you are. It is slowly progressing to a police state where if you are accused of a crime in this country, it doesn't matter what color you are, it's going to be at the point where if you don't have money, you're not going to be able to defend yourself. You can end up in jail and be prisoners of the state. Right now we do have prisoners of the state that are political prisoners, people that have been jailed for dissidents, that have been jailed for their political persuasions. That's what my ultimate concern is. I'm a libertarian.
Yeah.
I believe in the rights of the individual to live freely in a society within certain constructs. But that's what I'm worried about, is these political parties that have all this power and have the power to control people. And if you go against that system, you're instantly squashed and you're thrown in jail. And I know that African Americans have lived with that type of
Well, I'd
system
say that's
for a long time.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
guess what?
Yeah. Everybody.
People
finna
like
get it.
me are starting to wake up because it's starting to happen to us.
That's right.
It's now
See,
becoming a
it never
systematic
affects you
oppression.
until it affects you.
And that's where it goes back to my original point.
That's right.
We all live in a culture where we're
But the pride is
self-focused.
so deep because you have people right now who are being fucked by the very people that chant for Trump and his bigotry and his antics. They're being affected